Okay, so as we examine learning objectives, I think one of the best places to maybe start are actual textbooks. Now, what I do understand and what you kind of have to become comfortable with is school districts vary, and some use textbooks and some do not. That will be something that as you go into interview, you'll want to learn about as you student teach, as you do your practicum. Hopefully you'll get experiences kind of under both models. What's it like to have a textbook as a guide? What's it like to have nothing to work from but your own ideas? So it's kind of one extreme to the other. But I think in terms of this topic and this goal that we have for you, I think let's use some textbooks and see what this looks like. So what your task is going to be is to find an objective. Does it have all three parts: condition, behavioral verb, and criteria? And then if it doesn't, and most don't, especially in textbooks, write one. Okay, so just so that you know, there are many textbooks available, I think, enough anyway, for people in the CTLT. So visit the CTLT downstairs by our lab, and there's reading, social studies, science, math. Just look in the bookshelves on both sides. Reading is more on the north side, and then the rest of them are kind of in the cubby on the south side of the CTLT. And there's all grade levels. I show here, I think the reading to the back there is kindergarten, there's a fourth grade, and then the social studies is third grade, but there's all kinds, okay? So just find a textbook, pull off a couple. If you pull them off the shelf, I think what's easier is don't just shove them back in there. Just leave them on the tables or take them up to the service desk, and then they'll put them back for you, okay? Just to keep them in order and at least keep them in the right spot. So once you get the textbook, what you want to do is just kind of open it up and leaf through it. It's not like you have to read the textbook cover to cover or anything like that, but what you're looking for is you're looking for the lessons, like the units, the chapters, and then what are they teaching. In this diagram here, you can see it looks like we're on Unit 3 or Chapter 3, communities across the country. So this is the social studies workbook, and they, you know, the middle part there with the pictures, that is a replica of the student textbook. Okay, what the students are seeing, and then all the language on the left and right side in the bottom, that's part of the teacher's edition. Those are the questions that they provide you, they're the resources that they provide you, they're all the materials that will help you enhance the content that's in the student book. However, I think that you as teachers, you will come up with just as good of ideas, or you'll have some really nice supplements to or ideas to the material that's presented here. So to me, the textbook doesn't have to be used as the only resource and I've got to follow it step by step. You know, you've got to use your own personality, you've got to use your own creativity, your own innovation to make them the lessons better. But again, at least there's a start. What I want you to do when you open up these pages, what you're specifically, have a look at all of it, but what you're specifically looking at is try to find the objectives. Somewhere on those pages you are going to find one or two or three objectives that were written for the lesson. Now, they probably will not be written like we're requesting, but you'll find something like this. So this unit is on Welcome to My Community. Here's the objective that was stated. Describe and explain variations in the physical environment, including climate, landforms, natural resources, and natural hazards. So after studying that unit, those students, that's what they're supposed to be able to do. Describe and explain various variations in physical environment. Okay, so all those different kinds of things. Okay, so my question to you is, if we look at our three-part learning objective that we've shared with you, what's missing here? Or is anything missing? Or is this just good enough? So I'm going to kind of pause to have you think about that a little bit, and I hope what you're thinking and how you would respond if I had you face to face would be, this example is actually the only condition, the only part that it really satisfies, to be honest, is the behavioral verb. It's telling us what the students will do. Describe and explain the variations in physical environment, including climate and landforms, natural resources, and natural hazards. There are really no conditions. Again, that wasn't a part of it. We didn't know what the students, what set up the students to learn this material. And then there's no criteria. All it says is they're going to do this, but they aren't telling us to what degree will they do it. How are you going to evaluate it? How are you going to know if the students learned the content? Okay, so let me give you an example. So what I've done here is just, there's no conditions. I've plugged in what they had, and then there's no criteria. Now, this one, and I kind of picked it on purpose, it's a little nebulous. It's pretty, it's real broad, right? It's pretty broad. And so it's fine that after you pick an objective, if you want to narrow it down so it's a little bit more detailed, a little bit more easier to track and things, that's just fine. This one is a little wordy, and even the answer that I gave you, or the example that follows here, is a little bit wordy, but it's still an objective that we would probably, use, or it's better than the one that's in the textbook. So again, it's a little bit long here. Remember my math example, go back and look at that one. That's short and sweet, and it's ready to go. So what I said was, after Skyping with others living in different communities, so that's the condition, students will compare and contrast. Now, their behavioral verbs were just fine, but I kind of tweaked it there just to show you that you don't have to have it exactly. If you can think of something better, use it as a springboard and then make it work for you. So I'm going to say the students will now compare, how are they similar? Contrast, how are they different? Variations in the physical environment, and I just gave, this is where I'm kind of changing it to, including climate and landforms, by giving at least one correct comparison statement and one correct contrasting statement about the communities discussed. Okay, so it's kind of long, but I look at that, and now I know as a teacher, I know, okay, what have I done to set them up? What are the students being asked to do? And then to what degree, how will I evaluate them? If they can give me at least one comparison statement and one contrasting statement about these communities that they're studying, then I'm thinking that they're on the right track. Okay, you can always test them. You can always, they can do a variety of things. They can do something to 80% correct. You pick. Notice now I did throw Skyping in there because I'm thinking, okay, in the textbook they're studying Hawaii and Alaska. If I'm in Iowa, how do they know about Hawaii and Alaska? And so I would use the technology to link up to somebody in Hawaii and to link up with somebody in Alaska and have some Skype conversations with them. And so Objectives do not have to have anything to do with the technology, but in this case I kind of threw it in there because that's what I would do, in order to really situate my kids in Iowa in understanding and comparing and contrast our communities in Iowa as compared to communities in other states or countries or whatever. Okay, so this is an example that we're kind of looking from you. Again, I think this one's a little long, but it kind of had to be in terms of the content that was being covered. But you can break that down as needed. Now what you do is go to the CTLT, grab a textbook. You can check them out and take them with you. I believe just check at the desk. I should know this, but I haven't really checked one out for a while. It's either 3 days or 4 days, so keep that in mind. Or just spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes down there, and you could list it or make notes of it or whatever. But now there's an exit ticket that you have a link to. Go ahead and read that. Really what you'll have to do is we just want you to copy the objective that you found in the textbook, word by word. What did it look like before you did anything to it, and then rewrite it using the three parts. Okay, so with that, I think we've covered what we would have covered in class on Thursday. And again, pay special attention to our schedule coming up in the next week or so, week and 10 days. And don't forget your online lab for next week. Okay, so with that, you take care, and please don't hesitate to contact me or your TA next week if you have any questions before Thursday. Okay, you have a great weekend and a great start to the week next week.